So obviously you would know better than most what star value means, certainly to a product and when you're trying to sell it and trying to break through the static of pop culture landscape that has so many different options for fans. This week, you and the rest of the ownership of the NBA are going to be talking about the concept of resting players. Your coach has done it with star players on the road a handful of times. Greg Popovich has been known for, I guess, being the George Washington, if you will, of this strategy. Do you consider it a problem? Is it something that you are at the forefront of to try and figure out a solution, or you think there's really not much to this, Peter?
Well, I think, just generally, when you're in the location-based entertainment business, and that's what basketball is, whatever way you want to, frame it, butts in seats and eyeballs, many devices, you put on the table for the fans. And some take season tickets, and some take individual games, some watch television sometimes and not others. So you have a various kind of constituency that buys into your product, your basketball team or your baseball team or whatever team it is. And so you have to act in some kind of consistent manner so that the people buying the tickets or watching the game have some predictability of what product they're going to see. If I was going to see a movie and it starred Tom Cruise and Charlize Theron, and I went to the movie theater, and suddenly Sarah Boom Boom and Joe Schlepp showed up playing the movie, I would be disturbed. I would be disturbed because you have a certainty in a movie that those people are going to be on the screen. In basketball, I think you can't promise that certainty. It can be injury. It can be just trying to contain the player's life, trying to manage the minutes. There's lots of things that go into it. I think that it's a difficult thing when one fan pays to buy his ticket in a city and doesn't get a chance to see Kevin Durant or LeBron James or Steph Curry or any of the big stars that are luminaries for the sport. It is a problem. But on the other hand, you have to manage their health. They're thoroughbreds. They're really incredibly fine-tuned athletes, and you have to protect them. And I think you have to manage that. It's part of what you do. And I think that the attitude, if it's properly done and properly managed, I think the league is trying to do that. It's part of the vicissitudes of being a fan and being an athlete and being an owner and being a team owner. It's just what it is. Now, I think not knowing about it, 10 minutes before the game is not good. I think you really have to know about it early enough so people can make their own decisions. And I think the television group is especially concerned because they bet on those big showcase games on the weekend towards the end of the year where teams are contending, and they want to see, LeBron go against Westbrook or whatever.
Have you ever spoken? Have you ever spoken to Steve Kerr about this, Peter? About let's not rest multiple players at the same time.
Everybody talks about it all the time. How would you not talk about it? But that's a decision the coach and the GM have to make. You have people that way. You have producers and directors. You run a studio, a big studio like Columbia Pictures or Sony, companies that run. You have to let your people manage your process. You can't be, telling them, how many days every actor has to work. Sometimes it changes. So you have to I think you have to be ambidextrous. You have to look at the situation and be cognizant. That's a risk. That's a risk. But there's also a risk by overexposing your athletes so they're not capable of performing at a highest level in the key games at the very end of the season. So you're balancing those elements. And I'm not Solomonic enough to know what the perfect answer is. I understand the challenges to both sides.
The Rich Eisen Show, weekdays at noon Eastern on Audience.